It's been decades since she cut it. Nearing a century now, or perhaps two. She has long since lost track of the things called days. Time was a distant friend to her now, for they had long since parted ways. Her long hair forms a ruddy halo around her pale form. Her locks form a shroud, a hooded cloak. Looking this way, she is as ethereal as she is becoming, and it pleases her. Such cleverness. Her smile is lupine and far too wide for such a delicate face. But perhaps there is a realization even more haunting. Such a smile comes far too easily to a girl that's far too pale, with hair that's far too red. She has long forgotten that she used to be a child like any other child, smelling of flowers and warm cream and possibility. Now she is something else entirely, or perhaps partially. She is twisted vengeance wrapped in flesh and dipped in bitter honey. She is warm cream turned sour on the bottom. She is the witch in her cottage, the roaring giant, the sleeping dragon. She is the wolf in sweet clothing. Her baths are always quiet, undisturbed. The birds know to roost elsewhere, and the bugs burrow deeper into the mud. In the somber forest, beneath the largest willow, her rose-colored bath is filled with dark water. She slips in, a rose-colored girl filled with dark things. The basin is a womb, safe and rejuvenating. She clings to that feeling, lets herself be swallowed whole. Her hair spills out over the rim, pooling downward in tendrils of red. Such cascading color would easily remind a passerby of, perhaps, fresh berries finely crushed, or the parting of a maiden's lips. Red like a fresh rose, the quivering eye of a mouse at night. Red like flowing silk or a ripened ruby, but certainly not like anything else. And certainly not like the dark water of her bath, so painstakingly procured, so carefully poured. She is nearly translucent within it, like the ghost of the moon. She soaks like slim parchment stained with dark ink. She submerges her head, semi-buoyant in the thick solvent of her bath, and waits. She waits and waits and waits, and lies perfectly still. Who is to say how long she stays there, never drowning? Certainly not her, for time to one such as she is like recalling the memory of a dream. But she's waiting. She's waiting until it's been long enough that she feels just barely. Just a taste. Just a sip. Just a suckle. It prickles behind her eyes and stings her throat. Fear and death and dying and pain, not true feeling, but the shadows in their wake. Her body remembers remembering. Back to when she was a child like any other child. What she was before she became a cocktail of violence and ice. Still quaking beneath the surface, she opens her eyes, celestial orbs glowing in an abyssal pool. Her body remembers desire and despair and mortality and finality, and for just a moment, and then it's gone. A simple passing quiver ripples through her and through the dark water. She can almost hear the echo of a stuttering heart, of lungs crushed like fresh berries. It's been so long since she cut it, and now her hair tickles her behind the knees and wraps around her like a hungry snake, coiling and writhing in the bath in a hypnotic dance. Moments later, or perhaps years, she stands. The bath is cold now, no longer fresh. She uses a nearby stream to rinse her body, but her hair stays thick and heavy. She won't rinse it, doesn't need to, for it is already dried. Her self-made cloak is wrapped around her once more, fastened in place by a dangling pendant with a center stone so fine that it could make diamonds weep, so black that it was violet. The cryptic stone seemed to swallow all light and hold it inside for safekeeping. Such a fitting clasp for a girl that did just the same. From a nearby branch, she plucks a basket full of flowers and warm cream and possibility. Oh, and of course, fresh bread. Her once quiet practiced footsteps become loud practiced footsteps, echoing through the silent woods like cicada in summertime. But it was now autumn, and red leaves cracked beneath her feet. Only red leaves. Red like the tall red trees from which they fell dead. Red like her hair. Red like the bathwater. Red all over. Her lips part, still too wide for anyone's liking but her own, and a sound most feral shakes more red leaves from the trees. Rust-colored rain in slow motion, they vibrate in the frantic tune of, "Help! Someone, please help me! Don't let him get me!" And then she waits. She's good at waiting. The forest sings her song, and she waits for the traveler. Who it is, she cannot tell, not just yet. Only that she can feel them, like she feels everything in the somber wood. She waits and waits and waits. And maybe it has been a year of waiting, or perhaps two. But eventually, they come. Heavy footsteps. A man, most likely. Between one tree and the next, she ripens. Her hair a bit more soft. Her figure elongates in the right places. Her red hair no longer balloons around her, but clings to her form. Not a cloak, but a maiden's cape. To his liking. Her wide grin becomes petite, matronly, and her cheeks are rosy now. She is a woman like any other woman, full of flowers and warm cream and possibility. Another set of footsteps, smaller these. Oh, it's a couple, older, husband and wife. In a flurry of leaves, still very red, she becomes quite young, quite fearful, waiting to be saved and cradled by those who had once known children of their own, now grown and gone. A red cloak of red hair, barefoot, shivering, they come upon her like this. They smile at her, and promises tumble from their lips like honey and poetry. They will take her away from this place. They will save her from the monster in the woods. "Run," she says. "We must run." They hurry through the thick trees. This way, she calls out to them. And they run, and they run. But they are old, and they are tired. But that's quite all right. The wolf would rather hunt other things. A rabbit or two surely crossed his path along the way. He is gone. Let us rest here, in this glade, with a large, lonely willow in the tiny stream. Such a peculiar place, such a peculiar girl. They embrace her lovingly. What a sweet little girl in sweet clothing. What a sweet little thing. She shares her flowers and warm cream and fresh bread. They share their possibility. "Come live with us," they say. "Stay with us. The woods are far too dangerous for a child like any other child." Just like the fresh bread and the cream, they are warm too. Their smiles and their laughter, like a warm bath. She wants to feel warm too, wants to hold it for safekeeping, for just a moment, just a taste, just a sip, just a suckle. They make to leave, to continue through the red leaves before the red sun sets. But it's too late. Oh dear, The wolf is near. Where? They ask, shaking. They turn in circles, waiting for a strike. Oh dear, oh dear. The wolf is here. Suddenly, the old couple can feel it in their old bones, and they understand. They understand it in the way something old understands something ancient. Her smile was always quite too wide, her hair far too red, and her skin much too pale. But soon, she's red all over. In the quiet red woods, with the quiet red leaves, sits the quiet red girl in her quiet red water. She waits, and her hair becomes heavy. It's been so long since she cut her hair, but much longer since she felt warm. Perhaps a century, maybe two, or perhaps just a moment ago, or perhaps never at all. Still, her bath has gone cold again all the same, and that just won't do.